Hi, everybody. This is Adam Elenbaas from Nightlight Astrology, and these are December's horoscopes. So this is the December horoscope for Scorpios, and you can check this out if you're a Scorpio Sun sign or Scorpio rising. So here's the chart, and what we're going to do is take a look at the major transits for the month of December. Mostly they are taking place in the sign of Sagittarius, making some squares all month long to Mars and Neptune in the sign of Pisces in your fifth house. So we got a second house, fifth house dynamic going on all month. That's going to be the focus of our talk today. But something else to think about, which is that the month begins just after Venus is perfecting an opposition to Uranus on the very end of November 30th. So the Venus opposite Uranus dynamic can be disruptive for relationships, for deals, contracts, or negotiations. It can kind of upset the diplomatic balance. It can be a time of rebellion or independence, individuation. It can be a time where you are really considering breaking party lines or kind of making some kind of radical change, or it can indicate upsetting or unexpected changes in relationships in general. So that transit across your 12th and 6th house, which are two houses that can indicate moments of healing or change that are more challenging, that transit's really toning the start of the month. So at any rate, now let's talk about the main event, though. Let me just show you how this works. I mean, it's actually pretty unbelievable how many transits are happening across this axis of Sagittarius and Pisces, both Jupiter-ruled signs. You'll see on December 2nd, for example, Sun in Sagittarius square to Mars, right? It gets just better and better. And then on December 7th, you're going to see more of it. Here's the new moon in Sagittarius square to Mars and Neptune perfecting in your fifth house. Then as the month goes on, go forward a little bit more, around December 21st, you're going to see Mercury and Jupiter getting together in Sagittarius. Then you're going to see on the 24th, Mercury getting into a square with Neptune in Pisces. So Sagittarius, Pisces, again and again and again. All month long, these are the big transits. These are hands down the biggest transits happening this month. Maybe Mercury's turning direct, whatever, small things like that. Not as big of a deal when taken in the context of everything else that's going on, which is really focused on Sagittarius and Pisces. So this is your second and fifth houses. Second house is, of course, traditionally called the gate of Hades and the idle place. It is a place that is related to future gains that come from your own hands or your own work, money, resources, finance, material possessions. It is also a place that sometimes is related to things like diet and spending and your material values in a more general sense. It's all these planets going through Sagittarius in a square with planets in Pisces in the fifth house, which was called the joy of Venus traditionally, and was a place that was associated with joy, revelry, fun, creativity. It's a place that's associated with children and pregnancy, sex, sexuality, things like that. Also, the fifth house is a house where there can be a sort of spirit of hedonism in the fifth. We're kind of like you're trying to have fun, but you may go too far, or there may be some recklessness involved. So when you have planets square across these houses, a number of different things can come up. First of all, the connection between money, finances, values, and resources, and your children, if you have them. Those two topics can just be combined all month, sometimes in a stressful way, sometimes, involving expenses or things you have to pay for. Other times, just something you're investing in for the sake of children. Other times, this has to do with the search for fun and joy and pleasure. Like, how am I experiencing happiness in my life right now? Like, what do I do for fun? And maybe wanting to invest more in your your recreational life or your free time or your hobbies or something like that. But also maybe asking the question, what am I sacrificing? What kind of compromises am I making? For example, maybe you're in a loveless relationship, but you're sacrificing love, affection, and joy for the sake of a secure financial position. Maybe there's something also here where you could also be overspending, overindulging, or kind of doing something that's really extravagant for the sake of fun, but it's actually draining you. It's draining your money, or it's bad for your health, or something like that. And this is maybe there's an opportunity for a little bit of a wake-up call. Sometimes, Jupiter in your second house for a year could indicate that you're financially there's opportunities for growth and expansion, but sometimes it also means that there are basically that you are spending too much, or that you're overindulging in some way. That's sort of Jupiter in the second. So, big money, big problems, big expenses, anything big in the second house can be kind of good or bad. Similarly, really getting clear about what your values are and how they relate to things like possibly your children, or things related to what brings you happiness. And as a Scorpio rising, you can be pretty intense, right? Sometimes it's harder to just kick back and have fun, to be vulnerable, to be spontaneous, to be free. Scorpios tend to be in a more sort of fierce, kind of guarded position sometimes. So this is a month where, you also may just need to kind of throw caution to the wind and try to bring more joy into your life. So those are some of the main ideas that I have. There should also be money invested into creative projects right now, things like that. That's where the action is all month long. I'd love to hear stories from you guys and hear how these things are going. Meanwhile, you can see this on December 20th. There's a nice trine from the Sun in Sagittarius in your second house to Uranus in Aries in the sixth house. That could be a moment of kind of a creative breakthrough of some kind. You might be working really hard, but also breaking through some kind of obstacle, barrier, boundary, and could be really relieving. So I really like that. It's just a nice moment of maybe experiencing some kind of breakthrough around work and money, and maybe a creative breakthrough of some kind that's going to help you change the nature of your daily activities and help you find greater freedom. It's a little transit, but it could pack a punch. December 21st and 22nd, you're going to see around the 21st to the 22nd. I pushed it forward here to the 23rd just to make the point, but you'll see the Sun entering Capricorn in the winter solstice, and then the full moon in Cancer across your third and ninth house. Now, the nodes of the moon have just entered these houses for you, which means you're about to get eclipses over the next year and a half in these houses. The first one will be next month, but this winter solstice full moon dynamic across the third and the ninth, a brief sort of foreshadowing of things to come. These are the houses, of course, of the mind, of belief, of spirituality and religion, of travel. So these topics are going to be really important to you, whether it's learning or some kind of change of belief or religious or spiritual practice, or whether it has to do with increased travel or just a kind of crisis of belief, doubt, faith, hope. Where do I stand? Why am I here? Just the questioning process of the third and the ninth could really stand out. So we'll talk more about that next month and in January's horoscope. And in the meantime, I'd love to hear your comments. Leave them on the YouTube feed, and I'd love to hear how these events kind of shape up in your life over the course of December. And then, gosh, next time I talk to you guys, it'll be New Year. So happy holidays, and I look forward to seeing you in January.